Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today, I am once again joined by the Hounds of Asgard, who are fighting as they normally do when I get home from a long day of work. But today, we have got a stupid story. Now, again, I'm not calling the people that wrote the story stupid because they actually, John F. Trent is an amazing person. Bounding into Comics is an amazing website. However, the fact that this story exists in our day is so freaking stupid, but it's also no surprise whatsoever. And that story is that Rotten Tomatoes critics have gone after now Sylvester Stallone's Rambo Last Blood, not because they're trying to say it's a bad movie, not because they have objective criticism of the film, but because, and I quote, cruel and ugly showcases of xenophobic carnage. Yes, you've heard that right. We once again have another case of movie critics putting their own political views and political thoughts into their so-called movie criticisms. Now, obviously, let's just make it very clear here for a second that when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes critics, Rotten Tomatoes is its own independent entity, right? So they essentially host these reviews. But Rotten Tomatoes has a broken system where they have no problem with these critics, with these so-called critics that are more so about pushing some type of agenda. These are actually more so, activists. These are more so political activists pretending to be film critics. It's amazing to me that they've got no issue with those people driving down scores for films, but when it comes to honest, everyday people that are doing either the same thing from the opposite side of the political spectrum or putting a movie down because they honestly didn't like it, they will have no problem at all censoring those people because they are just regular, normal people. Oh, their opinion doesn't matter because they didn't go to school to study film, and so therefore we're going to protect these elitist critics who just want to go ahead and use political activism, and we're going to pretend to be film critics. Oh, but if you're an actual real-life person, if you're a normie, if you're an actual person, no. Your opinion doesn't count. We're going to shut down the comment section. We're going to shut down the audience score. We're going to make sure that you have to verify that you actually saw the damn movie. And even when you do, we're still going to make it hard as hell for your reviews to actually be posted because at the end of the day, we don't care about you. They are showing their hand very clearly here. Even though Rotten Tomatoes is not directly writing these reviews, the fact that they're hosting them and at the same time censoring other people's speech in the process is a reason why you should never go to Rotten Tomatoes website directly, which is why I tend to just go to my boys Bounding into Comics because they get to show me the scores and show me the reviews with me not having to give a damn click to the Rotten Tomatoes website. But holy crap, this is getting freaking ridiculous. And we thought it was bad beforehand because they were going after Joker. It's getting even worse now. Like, it's even more blatantly obvious. Now, let me just get it out of the way. Am I saying that Rambo Last Blood will be an amazing film? No. Am I saying that it is an amazing film? No. Am I saying that there are any critics out there that don't have legitimate criticism of the film? No. But what I am saying is that they are making it very clear that the reasons why they are trying to go after this film, the reasons why they are trying to denigrate this film and drive the score down is because they politically cannot stand it. And this is the unfortunate situation of today's modern film criticism, is that they're no longer criticizing film. They are now political activists who are trying to push their own political ideologies on the people and pretend as if it is the end-all be-all of truth. Try and pretend like it is objective reality when, in fact, it is not. So let's dive into some of this because I actually had to see one. The first review that's mentioned from The Guardian is complete and utter hogwash. It is about as dumb and as worthless of a film criticism I've ever read in my entire life. Anyway, Peter de Bruges at Variety describes the film was a cruel and ugly showcase of xenophobic carnage. He goes on to accuse the film of racism. Screenwriters Matthew Cerulnik and Stallone adopt the racist view of Mexicans as murderers, drug dealers, and rapists, devoid of cultural context or exceptions, beyond the independent journalist Paz Vega keeping tabs on their whereabouts. So wait a minute, hold on. So you say, oh my gosh, they portray people from a certain country in a certain way, and they do it completely. They don't show anyone that's good. Oh, but there is one, with again, devoid of cultural context or exceptions, but then they list an exception. They list somebody that's actually an independent journalist keeping tabs on their whereabouts. Guess what that means? That means that they're a good person. That means that they're not a terrible person. But also, I guess you probably forgot the fact that this film is probably set in a certain area, and that They're fighting bad guys in this area. So if you have a movie in Germany, if you have a movie in China, if you have a movie even in the United States, and you're in an area where bad things are happening, what is likely going to be the main focus of the film? Is it going to be on all of the good people that actually exist in that area, or is it going to be on the bad people? This is an action film. This is the very direction of an action film. This is the whole purpose of action films in general. This is supposed to be a throwback to the 1980s type action film where there was an enemy. There was a standard enemy in mind. Are you going to now try and say that retroactively that the first Rambo film or the second Rambo film was demonizing certain things? Are you going to try and say, oh my gosh, these films in the 1980s, they demonize Russians. They try and make all Russians look like they're bad. Oh my gosh, there were some good Russians too. Only an idiot would go in there saying, oh my God, I can't believe that all people from Mexico are terrible people. No one honestly thinks that. That is sane, of course. There might be people out there that do think that, but that's because they are not quite right in the head. But oh my goodness gracious. This is freaking ridiculous. And also, not to mention, you literally contradict yourself in your own comments. His own politics bleed into the review when he references President Trump's pledge to build a wall. Oh my goodness gracious. Anyway, The Guardian's review by Peter Bradshaw makes it clear their reviews is all about politics in the first sentence. It says, this massively enlarged prostate of a film. That's a great line. I can give credit where credit's due. That is a great line. But let's move on. Can only make you wince with its badly acted geronto ultra-violence. So again, bad acting. You can talk about bad acting and be subjective, or rather be objective in your critiques, but then you totally destroy that by saying ultra-violent. Again, that's a subjective view that something is ultra-violent, right? It's Trumpian fantasies of Mexican rapists and hilariously insecure U.S. border. Okay, so politics. And its crass enthusiasm for rape revenge attacks undertaken by a still got it senior dude 73 years young on behalf of a sweet teenager. So you're saying that it's wrong for a character to get revenge on someone in a fictional movie because they are getting revenge, or they are rather trying to make amends for an action done on someone else? So you're saying that if someone in your life got treated badly, that there wouldn't be a part of you that would want to try and make amends for that? Again, I'm not saying that go out to kill somebody, because obviously I'm very much against that. But again, this is why it's a movie. It is a movie. It is a fictional tale. This is not a, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we think the world is. This is supposed to be the world of fiction. We used to be able to live in the world of fiction and have fun with it. But now everything is either realized, meaning, oh my gosh, we're going to put real world elements into our films and we're going to try and push agendas with our films. Or you've got the opposite, where you got asshats that are going to try and tear down films because they're trying to overproject their own political activism into their so-called movie reviews. Dear Lord, this is awful. The Rap Review by Robert Abel also makes their review political, but Gabriella drives over anyway, at which point she falls prey to Trumpian array of bad hombres, including a pair of central casting cartel sex slavers named Victor and Hugo. Why is it that oh my God, so now everything dealing with anything to do, every person, it seems, at least a huge chunk, at the very least, of these negative reviews mention Trump in some way. Seriously, these people are obsessed. These people are potentially ill in the head because of Trump derangement syndrome. Now, I say that as a person that did not vote for the guy. I am about as independent as you can get. I voted third party, and I plan to continue to vote third party because everyone in Washington seems to be an idiot nowadays. There are very few smart people in Washington. Again, there's always going to be the exception, most likely in the House of Representatives, because there's a lot of people in there. But for the most part, all of these just obsessed and overpolarized people on both sides of the aisle who don't want to have actual conversations to try and fix issues, but instead would rather demonize them, like these critics trying to demonize Trump. Again, is Trump a bad guy? In some ways, sure. Is he a good guy? In some ways, sure. Guess what? Welcome to the human experience, where all of us are both good and bad. All of us have good qualities and bad qualities. And we can talk about both sides of it. Because I know there's going to be some Trump people out there that hate the fact that I said I didn't vote for him and hate the fact that I'm criticizing him even just a little bit. Even though every single person on the internet, every single person in this conversation, whether you're watching it, whether you're me or anyone else, has done something wrong in their life. to different levels and different degrees. But this demonization of people, you want to know why 2016 happened? It's because of idiots like you. It's because of nonsense like this. And if you want a 2020 situation to happen that's very reminiscent of 2016, keep on pushing this over-politicized hogwash narrative, please. Oh my goodness gracious. And it's one of those things too where it's like, I don't want someone to win. I just want idiots like you to shut up and be forced to shut up. Oh my goodness gracious. This is again, and now everyone's gonna say, you said to be forced to shut up. You're trying to talk about how people should be forced to do things. No, it's called expression. It's called a type of expression. Let's go ahead and dive further into this, though. There's also implication of racism here with so-called white savior. As vengeance kicks in, one starts to realize that the success level of Rambo's white savior efforts depends on a revenge math equation involving age, planning, and tools. So if a character is not white and is the savior of the film, do we then input the color of their skin or the race that they come from and say that they are that kind of savior? No. Why is it that only it's a white savior mentality? It's a white savior narrative. Why is it that we have to be focused on people's skin color? Why can't it just be people on screen doing things? Oh my goodness gracious. I'm going to lose my mind with these. And we're not even done. We're not even done. Okay, Eric Cohen on IndieWire. Rambo has long been a symbol of imperialistic rage. Imperialistic rage. And Last Blood is no exception. Transplanting the action to Arizona provides the natural setting for a border drama that plays into Trump-era fear-mongering right down to its ominous shot of a border wall as Rambo heads south in search of justice. Or could it be that there are bad things happening on the border? And guess what? If you don't think bad things are happening on the border, guess what? You're an idiot. Because there's bad things happening on both sides of the border. There's many things that we can point to that are bad, including criminals. So could it be that they said, hey, you know what? We need a bad guy to fight against. Wait a minute. Let's talk about our issues in our own country right now. Where are there a lot of bad guys? Oh, wait, that's right. On the border. Oh, my gosh. Odin's a racist. He's saying that all Mexicans are bad. No, en contraire. I'm saying that there's bad guys on both sides of the border down south because there's a lot of things going on down there. Guess what? There's American citizens that are also a part of the drug rings, that are also a part of the sex trafficking rings. Guess what? American citizens too. And guess what? American citizens can be of a wide variety of races. That's one of the great things about America is. People in Mexico tend not to be that diverse, though of course there is diversity within it. But it's interesting that you like to have this conversation, but you ignore reality. Oh boy, this is fun. Oh boy, this is fun. And oh my gosh, talking about, oh my goodness, oh here we go. He goes to refer to the film as propaganda. Fortunately, by propaganda standards, it's weak sauce, as the film unfurls with bland, tiresome developments until closing minutes. Because it's a fictional film, it's not trying to be propaganda, it's trying to be a film dealing with a real-life crisis. It's basically exploiting real-life scenarios and real-life problems. So if you want to honestly be critical of it, you can go after it for that. You can say, I think that the film, objectively speaking, is this, but at the end of the day, it does exploit real life issues. Because it does, right? It's exploiting actual violence to make a narrative film, to make money. And I think that that is a worthy criticism. But if you trying to say every single, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. If only Last Blood had more to say about beyond the jingoistic mishmash. Oh my gosh. How many ways can they try and point out supposed racism of dime store sentimentality and half-hearted vengeance? It shrugs into existence, bidding farewell to an action icon in the same grotesque terms that made him so problematic in the first place. Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and critique the original Rambo and the original reason why he's there. Once again, these are fictional stories, these are fictional tales. And if you actually took a minute to actually watch the original Rambo, you'd realize that there's actually a lot of complexity to that character. Yeah, to an idiot who's not paying attention, it might seem oversimplistic, but if you actually pay attention to it, there's a lot of going on there, especially when you're dealing with someone that has obviously issues of PTSD, which is a very, very, very underplayed and also complicated situation for anyone to have. Impulse Gamer. It is also embedded with Taken's xenophobia. Oh my gosh. So now Taken has xenophobia in it. The men are either hoodlums, drug dealers, human traffickers, or terrible fathers. Because he's fighting the bad guys. So the bad guys are going to be the focus. Have you never watched an action film? Have you never watched an action film in history where people are bad guys? Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm having an aneurysm here. The representation of women as misogynistic is misogynistic too. They are portrayed as victims, plot devices, and worrywarts. I'm not even going to touch that one. The impetus of the film's action comes from a plot that closely resembles Taken in both its setup, its older dad action fantasy, and its cultural insensitivity. There it is. The filmmakers have made Mexico seem like an infinite wasteland of crime and death. What is the overall crime rate in Mexico? I kind of want to know that, because I feel like if it's very high, that it really isn't overplaying its hand. Especially since if we're talking about the border is a very dangerous place. If you're going to try and tell me that the border is not a dangerous place on both sides of the border, again, where have you been? Have you been paying attention? Probably not, because you've been in your college classroom teaching your college course to a bunch of idiotic 18-year-olds that are going to buy every single thing you say while going into thousands of dollars worth of college debt just so that you can afford to continue to have tenure, when in reality you should have been fired a long time ago for your complete lack of any understanding and also complete ignorance. The filmmakers have made Mexico seem like an infinite wasteland of crime and death, and most of its Latinx characters on screen are criminals or broad stereotypes. I understand that Rambo films have barely been bastions of cultural togetherness, but in 2019, oh yeah, 2019 is all over these reviews, these broad stereotypes are offensive and dated and downright irresponsible. No. Reviews like yours are stupid, idiotic, and downright irresponsible because they're trying to pretend to be movie criticism when in reality you are nothing more than a social justice warrior. You are nothing more than a political partisan that's trying to pretend to be a movie critic at this point. Maybe I never got into a whole Rambo franchise because when Stallone introduced the character back in the 1980s, it contributed to all the rah-rah USA stuff that was going on under Reagan. What is so wrong with that? Oh, now you have a problem with America? What's wrong? Is it so wrong to be proud of your country? Again, I don't think anyone should be blindly allegiant to anything. I think that we should always be honest and open about any criticisms that can be there. But seriously, now your problem is with people being proud to be American? Whether on purpose or not, Last Blood does something similar for the racist red hats wanting to make America great again. So now all Trump supporters are racist. Oh, great. Oh, great. Oh, Edward Douglas at Comic Speed. Oh my gosh. Thank you for making it clear that you're a movie critic and not a political partisan. Oh, wait. Scratch that. Reverse it. You are a political partisan and you are not a movie critic. Seriously? Now you're painting anyone that's a Trump supporter, and this is coming from someone that's not a Trump supporter, that didn't even vote for the dude and has no plans to vote for the dude. But I'm at the very least sensible enough to know that most people that voted for the guy are not racist. Oh, my goodness gracious. This is just... The ignorance in these comments is amazing. Little White Lies says, this time he heads across the controversially soon-to-be walled border where he must confront some vicious Mexican America's other du jour. Not that Rambo himself is sexist exactly. Oh, boy. And then laments the patriarchy, of course. In a sense, he's right back where he started in the original First Blood, aimlessly wandering the country and inevitably headed into yet more trouble. America's patriarchal history could do with becoming more feminine. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the fact that now anything that seems to be masculine in these terms is referred to as being toxically masculine. Anything that seems to be violent is now turned into ultra violent. And I am all for understanding that when it comes to violence, I think that there is a problem with being desensitized to violence. I mentioned this in my class today, saying, because one of my students asked me, is there a correlation between, or what are your thoughts about the whole violence in video games? And I said, there's no correlation between violence coming from people that play video games. People that play video games are not more violent than anyone else. However, they are more likely, especially if they play violent games, to be less sensitive to it. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that when they see actual real-life tragedies happen, they may not be as affected by it as they would have had they not been sensitized. But again, that's just video games. That's TV. That's movies. All of these things desensitize us to the various things. But that by itself, of course, does not mean that means you're going to be more likely to violence, right? Again, hopefully we can all at least agree on that point. You're not going to be more violent based on that, but I do think that it's a problem if we are not sensitive to these things, because I think that we should be sensitive to things like that. But of course, that's for another day. But what are y'all's thoughts about this? Seriously, this is freaking ridiculous, man. These are the same idiots that gave giant scores to Ghostbusters 2016 because it was politically relevant to them. These are the same imbeciles that are tearing down movies like Joker because it is just politically not important to them. And these are the same idiots that are going to continue to tear any movie that has anything to do with action or having a so-called white star and white savior, because you cannot have any of those things here. How many movies like Rambo Last Blood have we gotten this year? It's pretty much the only one that I can think about that does things in this exact way. How long has it been since we've had the last film that was just like this? It's probably been a very long time, right? And yet, when one movie comes out in a given year, it is designated as being toxic as being racist, as being sexist, any istophobic thing you could possibly say. This film has it. It makes me want to see the film. And this is coming from someone that is not a giant Rambo fan in the first place. I think that Rambo 1 was great. Rambo 2 was entertaining at the very least. And I might try and see other things in the future from the Rambo franchise. However, this to me is problematic. Oh, I'm just trying to make sure that, okay, it's just a bone. I thought it might have been something else. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about this? Seriously, I got very passionate today because this stuff bothers me to hell. The fact that every single thing now has to be political. The fact that we can't have honest movie criticism anymore. The fact that they couldn't just, again, I think this movie is going to be terrible. I mean, I think that most people that even like the movie are going to say, oh yeah, I mean, the acting was not that good. The effects aren't that good. The writing isn't very strong, but I had a good time. And that's what you're probably going to see reflected in the overall audience scores. Is that what I can imagine? You're going to see yet again another divide between the elitist political critics and the regular everyday personalities of people, general everyday people that don't care about this nonsense. But let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash the like button, give me a subscribe, it helps me a lot. I'm sure this video will probably get demonetized or something to that effect because obviously you can't speak your mind on YouTube or anywhere anymore, especially, oh my gosh, if you're going to defend a movie that you probably won't even like, but at the very least, it's not nearly as bad as these idiots are trying to make it out. And seriously, any one of these people I just mentioned, you shouldn't have to watch. Seriously, don't go to Rotten Tomatoes anymore because they've obviously shown themselves to be hacks. But also, too, those critics I just read off, those are the problem. So what you need to do is stop watching or reading their reviews, ignore the sources that they come from, because guess what? If that's the type of thing that their source is going to say, oh my gosh, this is important, everyone needs to see it, if that's what they're going to be pushing forward, they're done. They're not movie critics, and they don't deserve your time. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless. And also, before I go, because I just remembered, huge shout out to 2 subscribers of the channel, Bruce, my man Bruce, and also ZK-Man. K-Man tends to watch over on DLive during live streams. But I got both of your packages today. I plan to open them both and show everybody and read the stuff in there on the live stream tomorrow. So I got those things. Anyway, have a great one. And as always, God bless.